What's up guys, and we're back on Project Freebie, and this is part 10. In today's video, we're covering part 2 of my oil control, which I'm going to do an oil return to the cat's tank and just check the general condition of the engine, make sure the oil's in good condition and have its kind of first oil change. Also, since the beginning, the idle valve hasn't been working and I've actually got a few on the bench. We're given these free by a very kind subscriber. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it massively, massively. So I'm sure one of these 3 will work. As you can see, they're slightly different part numbers and sizes. And luckily on the Mega Squirt, I can also adjust the frequency. And also the same person also gave me the MFA, so I can actually wire it in. And then I'm sure once I get the idle valve working, it's gonna need to be adjusted, because what I've done is I've actually adjusted the throttle to give me some kind of idle. So I'm not gonna mess around with that, because that actually gives me a good bass idle. So more than likely, once this actually starts working, the idle's gonna be super high. So I'm gonna have to plug the laptop in, adjust that, as well as maybe just a few other parameters as well, like the accelerator wizard as well, because I feel it's a bit flat and I can see it's going lean now that I've done the base fuel map. So let's crack on. First things first, let's remove this cover and try some of these idle valves. So it's quite simple now, it's just refit, and let's see what the cold start's going to be like. But before we get into today's video, I'm going to show you guys my first product, which is a Pollen filter for the Golf Mark II. Now what I've done is some others out there, but they're not as thick and the quality is not as strong and as robust as this one is. I'll show you guys quickly with the filter, a little quick demonstration. This is the filter. Yeah, so it's a great addition to your car. It means, you know, you got no dust going in, less likely to damage your fan with leaves getting in there and stuff, and dust when you turn the fan on. Blows out loads of stuff, which these Mark IIs do. If you have a Mark II, you know what I'm talking about. And also another benefit of this is actually it keeps the sound, you know, dampens the sound slightly, because you have a filter here. So if you've got a diesel or something, or even a petrol, it just makes the cabin just that little bit nicer, because it's dampened the sound slightly. So I'll show you guys on this one that's out where it goes in. It's pretty simple. Slide it in like so, and then it just literally clips in, job done. Yep. If you want these, they're going to be on my Facebook page. Message me on there and I'll post this worldwide. The price is quite reasonable and it also comes with a filter. All right guys, let's get back into today's video. Right, so let's have a quick look here at some of the settings. Let's go to the... Okay, so here in the Excel wizard, you can see that's a really silly number right there, that curve. Doesn't make any sense at all. That's probably why I got the flat spot, but we'll turn it on and we'll see. And then let's go to idle control, and wow, you can see the duty cycle is quite high. So yeah, I'm gonna have to probably drop that off. Let's see, let's crank it up and let's see what it does with no throttle. Okay, so that actually started up fine, and the idle's at 1,000. Let me blip the throttle. Yeah, that's not too bad. Let me just change this here. To make a bit more sense of this. Okay, burn that now. You can see here the AFRs when I blip the throttle. Okay, so it doesn't go into the lean. That's pretty cool actually. So as you guys can see, I've modified and used up the rest of the plugs that I needed to get this MFA running. So let's get this in the car and test out the MFA. So now that we've done that side of it, now the next thing to do is actually, this is from a Mark III, it's pretty much the same. It's this little green plug with 4 pins, and the location on the fuse box is there. that should be spare, because unless you've got MFA, that's literally just for the MFA, and that's where it's going to go in the car. So I've actually had to wire in the air temp because I actually disconnected that out of the plug, so I had to rewire that in and push that through up. And also I actually had the wire already run there for the oil temp. So as you can see, the Mark III plug is identical. So I've plugged it in. Now let's see, turn the ignition on and let's see if it does. Let's see if you guys can see there. Okay, so that works, all perfect. That's the oil temp, it hasn't registered anything yet, and the temperature inside the workshop, as you can see, is a very crispy 32 degrees. So yep, that's all cool. So I've actually got a full working MFA on these early clocks. So it's pretty straightforward. So it's really quite easy, really. Just got this off a Mark III, and there's loads of Mark IIIs with MFAs. So yeah, it's plug and play, as you can see. So all I need to do now literally is remove the column, do the steering wheel, and get this fitted. So that's pretty straightforward. Now, while it's still apart, let me just check everything works. Yep, the MFA still works. Reset. Make sure the wipers work. And indicators and all that kind of stuff works. Okay, that's fine. So we're at the main event, which is the windage tray. This comes from a transporter, T4, because the engine actually sits kind of leans forward instead of leaning back. And on diesels, some actually Mark III TDIs also come with this windage tray. And basically what it stops is the kind of the crank hitting the oil and throwing the oil everywhere. I mean, it's a mess anyway. If you've ever seen one of those YouTube videos of the engine actually running and you can see through the block, there's a camera, a small camera in the block, the amount of oil, mist and spray everywhere, it's unbelievable. And this is supposedly meant to cut that down. Now, it was definitely short-sighted of me not to actually mount this when I built the engine, but I guess I used it as an opportunity, one, to check the condition of the sump, which is cool, and change the oil. I've done so far 800k, so which is about 500-ish miles. So yeah, it's first oil change, and it all seems okay, and the oil came up pretty clean as well. Okay, so I got the dipstick out and I've already made a little hole, cleaned off the area as much as I could. And this is the bit of pipe that's going to go on there, a bit of 8mm pipe, and it just fits perfectly into there. So now I'm just going to weld that on. So then it's the nice little oil return for the catch tank. So there you have it, one modified dipstick with a return. So hopefully I've worked it out right and it's going to sit perfectly. I might have to put it in, turn it, and then actually push it down so it clears one of the coolant pipes, but I think that's going to work perfectly. You know, it's a very small diameter, it's only 8mm. I'm assuming I'm not going to need more than that. That shouldn't breathe that much. It just kind of should be just dripping, you know, the access that obviously it does build up over time. If I'm going to do some track use, then this is definitely 8mm. It's not going to be big enough. I need at least a 12mm return or thereabouts to actually, because it's obviously going to breathe a lot heavier if you're using for track use. But like I said, just for spirited driving, and I might do the odd track day. But at this point, at this stage of the car, it's literally just kind of mess around with this, get the high comp working with the compression and the cams and get it all kind of tuned up as much as I can, and then take it in stages. I'll take you guys along for that journey and let's see how this progresses. Okay, so that's ready to fit. So unfortunately, you guys are not going to see down there, but yep, it's in, and the pipe's at a perfect angle. Now I'm just going to put a fuel pipe, which is the next best thing, I guess, to oil. Hopefully it will last until I sort out a better pipe. I need to sort some pipes. They're quite hard to find here in Portugal, some oil resistance ones, but long term I will need to sort that out. So like I said, I'm just going to put a fuel pipe now, an 8mm one from there to there, dually clips, and it's done. Right, so dipstick's all mounted, the windage tray is all bolted up, and the sump as well, and I've put some nice fresh oil in it and changed the filter as well. Now the return pipe is done to the catch tank, so that's all sorted. I think that's a nice little trick, kind of returning to dipstick makes it, you know, you don't have to drill the sump and tap the sump or put it into a block somewhere. It's quite nice. It's quite nice and neat actually. It's a nice little stealth kind of modification. So all I've got left now is to put the airbox on and just drive it and keep on putting the miles on it, the kilometers on it. Like I said earlier on in the video, I've done about 800. I've still got another 800 to do. So I've done an oil change halfway through. Now I can slowly start to, as I've seen everything is fine, I can start to slowly increase the revs, the RPMs, slowly up until I reach about 7,000 and start mapping it as much as I can on the road, ignition wise and map wise and fuel wise safely, and then take it on the rolling road and kind of develop this project as it goes on. I'm sure I'm going to have a few hurdles as the project goes on, a few issues here and there, but hopefully, fingers crossed, up to this point it's been smooth sailing. Alright guys, please like and subscribe. You know, if you've got any questions, if you want to comment, please do. It helps me massively, helps with the algorithm. I'm sure you've heard this from millions of other YouTubers. But yeah, it really does help me out and also motivates me to actually make more content for you guys. Alright guys, be safe, ding-a-ling-a-ling, click on that notification bell and be safe.